Hello, welcome from hell to Stone Soup Poetry. Every vote for Kamala Harris or every donation to my Patreon, I'm not picky, will help me get out of hell. So we do appreciate that. As someone commented before we hit the record button, be sure to submit to the Oddball Magazine Horror-thon. We want real horror. We want modern horror. We want Get Out style horror. We want the horror that you literally see out your window, especially if your neighbor's a Trump supporter. We want um, we want that kind of we want that kind of horror that we're gonna probably live with for the next 4 years, whether or not he wins. We are we are looking forward to your submissions, and we're looking forward to everyone on the open mic. Thanks for coming, and I'll be announcing the feature later on tonight. The Randonator 5000 has chosen someone who's back after a couple of weeks. Good to have him back. Let's welcome up Mr. Mark States.
Something undecipherable. Your coconut windows hid the light so well. Your testimony put me in a spell. You look so wasted that I could not tell. Must this drag on forever? I keep bringing this poetry notebook to bed as I lay down for the night, under the foolish presumption I have something meaningful to say. I do not. The ink pen bleeds anyway. This is just like the tools on the internet, I say to myself, as notebook is shut and left on nightstand beside lamp still awake. A sigh of disbelief, realizing I had just trolled myself in my own poem. Well, it is a Saturday night, and I haven't had a drink in years. Unlike the crooner en Espanol outside in the parking lot, sounding like Sylvester the cartoon cat after snorting helium. Then a car door slams, ignition strikes, engine goes snap, crackle, pop, and the unmistakable rhythm of Goodyear's flattening gravel and acorns as car pulls out is cheered by the young women congregated in my parking lot. Chica laughs and says something undecipherable as images of fast and furious streetcar crowds fill my mind. I do not yet realize our parking lot has mysteriously gone silent, as if this poem were the alcoholic blackout before being so rudely interrupted by that damn hangover headache. Evidently, the party's been over a long time for this old geezer. Click, lights off. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being the first of this first round robin. And thanks to everyone who came tonight. Thanks to everyone who came to Noah Berlatsky's poetry reading last week as well. Again, be announcing the next feature next week later. And I think I have the first two slots of November, post-election and post-election, ready to announce in the days to come. But before we do that, let's keep on going with the open mic. Let's see if Christiana would be interested in reading right now or if she would like to wait. Whoops, let me help you.
Okay, I've decided I will share something.
Awesome.
Okay, so it's another chat with a robot. Um, and this time I asked it, how does passive aggression and complacence with using it and sarcasm enable fascism? Passive aggression, complacency in its use, and sarcasm can enable fascism by undermining direct discourse. These communication styles create a culture where direct confrontation and honest dialogue about power dynamics and oppression are discouraged. This can prevent meaningful discussions about fascist ideologies and their impacts. Normalizing distrust. When passive aggression is prevalent, it fosters an environment of suspicion and distrust. This can make it easier for authoritarian figures to manipulate narratives and control discourse, as people may hesitate to challenge or question them openly. Deflecting accountability. Complacency in using passive aggression allows harmful behaviors to go unchecked. When individuals avoid taking responsibility for their words, it creates a permissive environment for fascist ideologies to thrive without challenge. Ultimately, fostering open, honest communication is crucial to countering fascism. Addressing issues directly can empower individuals to resist authoritarianism and promote solidarity against oppressive systems. Okay.
Conversations with a robot. And now in 2024, we can all say, well, we all did it. Hell, the AI for Facebook was more useful than anyone I've talked to in tech support in the last 5 years. Thank you, Christiana.
Mhm.
And now I'd like to go to, let's see. I almost want to just choose the best background, but what looks most like hell? Anyway, let's see. I have to admit, Gentleman Golf Machine is a close choice. But welcome to the machine. But let's go with Pitch Black. None more black. Let's go with Mr. Robert Fleming, the visual poet from Delaware, as I enact his ability to share. Yeah, they're right.
Thank you. Here we go. So I'm celebrating my publication of a 9-piece visual arts series in Blazebox, which is a New York digital magazine. And I'm going to share 3 of the images that I created and share how I got there. This was one of the original images, which I took as a photograph over the summer. And then I applied the Canva filter called Heat Wave and called this sky color number 4. And on the left is the original photograph. On the right is the edited photograph. This was a picture that I took over the summer.
You might want to check. You might want to check things, Robert, because I don't see a share anymore.
Okay.
I see it. I see it.
Really? I wonder why I can't.
Can you see it now?
I can see it now. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think I could make myself not see something that was being shared as the host, but thanks for doing that.
Okay. So this was the original photograph I took over the summer of cirrus clouds. And then I isolated the top right of the photograph and removed the background of the photograph, taking it to this cut. And then I changed the color to brownish. I particularly like that the top of the cloud looks puffy. This is cloud color number 5. And this was also a photograph that I took over this past summer. And then I changed the filter to another color pop filter. And then this is the original on the left and the edited version on the right. And thank you for letting me share 3 out of my 9 submissions for Blazebox.
I had some limericks in there once, like a lifetime ago. So good job getting in there, Robert. Let's see, who do we have next? We're gonna go now to, let's see, let's go to Generalissimo, Brian Franco. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back, sir.
You skip over me and let me go next?
Oh, after whoever I picked in front of you? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jan Rowe.
There you go.
Thank you. This is kind of pleasant for a change. It's called Angel Donuts. Getting on a new train car at Ashmont to sit some minutes before departure, the woman across from me proceeded to eat what appeared to be a powdered sugar donut, or as some kid called it, a circle, filled with that white shortening sugar mix. Not yellow. It's hard to find the white. So I'm transported to childhood, living by the International Bakery, where neighborhood kids could wander 2 stories down via a ramp for trays on wheels of wonderful hard rolls, soft in the middle, those cream-filled horns my dad liked and I didn't, loaves of sliced bread. We kids would wander among the large vats of this shortening sugar filling or icing or whatever. Amazing. No one seemed to usher us out. And the bread's going to be breaking in these ovens. Now the bread trucks left the International Bakery, and this is why kids battled over ashes on the sledding hill as the bread trucks had to get out. Once my Uncle Jimmer, 1948 to 1985, only 37 when he died, he ran away on a bread truck. Oh, I'm not done yet, but it stopped there. Thank you.
Well, maybe you can pick up afterwards.
Yeah.
I just showed the projected
Awesome.
cover
That's good.
as a JPEG file for Stone's Throw issue 8, Unalive the Algorithm. It's the next issue for this year, and unlike Stone's Throw 7, it will be out well before 7 years. So I'm very happy about that. Incidentally, the artist is David House, a Gen Z Zoomer. So I was interested in his take on algorithms and computers, and he might be touching it up later on. But point is, I'm hoping to get the Stone's Throw issue out before my 2 books come out. So I'm hoping by next week, but we'll see how it goes. But I'll be going through the submissions that everyone sent me, hopefully by Friday. And thank you guys for your patience in this. Up next, back by his popular demand, or back coming after Jan by his popular demand, the Generalissimo himself, Brian Franco. Take 2.
Okay, great. So Rattle is doing a food poetry issue. I'm allowed to submit 4 poems, and I'm gonna read 2 of, well, I set aside 4 poems that I was gonna send off, and then I remembered another one today, which I'm gonna read now, and then I'm gonna read one of the ones that I set aside. So let me just get this. The first one that I just remembered, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna use it, is Incursion on Filet Mignon. After he cut off a charred edge of steak, before he bit the first bite, he impaled the steak with a steak knife, which stood at a perfect 90-degree angle perpendicular to the stake. He imagined himself a Viking on a pillage. The stake was a sentry to a castle he breached. The knife was a sword that had last belonged to his great uncle. He swiped the sliver of charred meat into the au jus pooling in the plate, then dipped it into mashed potatoes sprinkled with black pepper freshly ground from a 1.5-foot tall solid wood pepper mill his sister gave him as a housewarming gift. He savored the savory bite. As his teeth chewed, his taste buds invaded his brain with endorphins, which found decompression with a single sanguine swallow of Syrah, sending his satiety into a detention until he could attack his dinner again. And then this next piece is, hold on, where was I? Here we go. It's called In Purple Chalk on the Sunday Specials board. Imagine you're an English muffin, and you're hoping to maybe be toasted and spread with butter and Smucker's strawberry jam, but instead they take you from a bag, lightly toast you on a flat top you with fresh wilted spinach, diced, sweetly acidic heirloom tomatoes, perfectly poached eggs, lightly charred shrimp, and creamy, lemony hollandaise sauce. Suddenly, someone pokes the egg with a fork. Its yellow flows like lava from Kilauea and mixes with the hollandaise, sending your English muffin existence into an ultimate culinary purpose. You are now the shrimp, toast, and spinach eggs Benedict special at the Copper Kettle Diner in Topsom. And this is actually titled, oh, I did say the title, In Purple Chalk on the Sunday Specials board. Okay. Thank you.
Were you saying that you were submitting to Rattle or Rat Hole? Because you said it so quickly I couldn't tell.
Rattle.
Rattle,
Rattle.
Rattle.
All right.
It's
All
so
right.
funny. I put in Rat Hole because just as a joke, and Rattle came up. So I guess that's a common mistake because there was nothing else came up Rattle except Rattle. So Rat Hole, which is what some people next door to Athol, Mass, Athol, would call Athol, Rat Hole. But anyway, good luck with these submissions.
Mhm.
And who do we go next to? Let's go to Marianne Honecker. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'll do a couple new ones. I haven't really decided what to think of them yet. Terror. I'm sitting on the couch. I realize suddenly that for some unidentifiable length of time, I have been thinking nothing. The scouring, bright white light of terror. My mind's endless meanderings are more than mere entertainment. They are me. Nothing. My thoughts slice into an issue like a knife. I separate and define. I bring clarity. This is what I do. This is what I've always done. Nothing. I am stripped naked so I might see how little there is of me. Shame. I flounder for my clothes, those markers of what and who I am. Nothing. Beyond the reach of reason. I'm joking with a friend when he, equally in jest, puts his hands around my neck. His face is smiling when he does it. He's laughing, not applying any pressure, his fingers loose, careless. My eyes widen involuntarily. My body begins trembling. Even sitting on the couch minutes later, in the space of I'm sorry and what happened and are you okay, I am still shaking. I cannot stop. I know he would never hurt me, but terror lives in my body beyond the reach of reason. And that's all for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Perhaps influenced by all the Kamala Harris and voting texts I keep on getting every 3 minutes on my phone, the Ramdonator 5000 has chosen Mr. Richard Spisak, the self-proclaimed poet of Three Rivers.
You've got me there, sir. And now for something completely different. I offer you this, but I'm going to start from the beginning again. What the hell? You promised not to fact check me. I was only going to lie, don't you see? But you promised not to fact check me when I was going to fly. Now, what's for me? You promised not to fact check me. It really cramps my style. I really had a strategy to lose it. Now it's a tragedy. It worked for so many a mile. It lets them know I'm one of them, not all hemmed in. Besides, I'm rich as sin. They turn me over, no bed of clover. I got more ticks than their old dog Rover. Especially for the credulous, they really like my style. I pander to their prejudice. It works. It makes them smile. I sneer at all the experts just like them, all the professors and their kin. I fake a hate of technology, spurn immigrants with no apology, even though I got a foreign wife. For me, it's just my sacrifice. I tell them they're the Supermen and they're victims every one. Them bosses can go pound sand, they'll be winners sure as dirt. It's just they got their feelings hurt. And everyone's again them, even the color of the sun. And that's just the beginning because every court is so unfair, especially if their asses were convicted and denied bail. All of them highfalutin movie stars driving around electric cars. Unless they say their prayers like me, they may as well go climb a tree. If the moon was made of cheese, it'd be wholesome breeze and all the cows would give beer. But if they give me their wallets, I'll dry each and every honest tear. I'll solve each and every problem. I know why they stub their toes. Just give me all your money. I'll chase away those foreign foes. I can play it low and dirty. Insults fly from my mouth. And if you thought I'd grow up there in a one-room shack instead, I studied Ivy League and carried a tall book stack. I debated at university, played at fencing, rode a crew. Now I say shucks and drive a pickup truck. Method acting's what I do. Paid anyone to take my test. Now I'm posing like a Dumbo. You can guess the rest. And when I hang with bankers and billionaires, I'm erudite and humble. And when you shine the light of truth like Icarus with his misspent youth, my wings all melt and fall away. It's like that old bunch of lies I told today. And if you steal my lovely lies away, were you to fact check me today? My whole ensemble, like that king whose kingdom crumbled, wore a sword made of no damn thing, and thought himself so very cute. No, no, so badly tumbled, humbled. Oh boy, that crowd did hoot. And if all my lies were stripped away, truth is, I got nothing else to say. But sadly, if you find me all exposed, just like a rose without the pretty coloration of them flowers, I'm just all thorns. It's my only real power. Fact check is a gosh darn train wreck. I was going to lie and lie and lie. I wonder why. Maybe pigs can't fly.
Thank you so much.
Oh wait, can I fact check his poem real quick?
Please do. Please do.
So, do you know for a fact that he did debate and crew while at Penn? Because I don't think he would have made either one of those. Even
well, actually, I fibbed on those.
Can you imagine him on a college debate team? Let alone a crew.
Well, not Trumpy, that's for sure, but his little acolyte, his mini me, yeah, I could believe that. Of course, he cheated, you know.
You're talking about Ivanka or Don Jr.?
No. Mr. A.J. Vance or A.D. Vance.
Oh,
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he went to Yale.
Well, thank you so much, Richard. And let's let's have a cooler, calmer palette swap here with Mr. Ed Gentleman Galt, past Stone Soup feature this year. Welcome back, sir.
Okay, I'm going to be reading from my book, or they would say in the German, mein Buch. Uh, this one's called The Hangman's Smile. In the courtroom, the old man sat in a wheelchair, breathing through a nasal tube, listening to the judge read a 21-page warrant, charging him as being an accomplice in the murder of 29,000 people 66 years earlier. There are those who believe the man is too old to stand trial for atrocities committed so long ago. Why wasn't he brought to justice earlier? they asked. The prosecutor said the rule of law must prevail, that the number of years gone by must not determine whether justice is done. The blood of those thousands cries out for justice. We must demonstrate to those who commit such crimes they will not walk away. But even from across the room, one can discern, albeit barely, a smile comes across the old man's face. He knows that he has gotten away with it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now let's go from humorous to calm, back to wild. Mr. Bill Lewis, you're up, sir.
Why, thank you
Like the
so much,
background.
Stanford. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be here, knowing that I am among friends. I mean, if you haven't shot me yet, you must not hate me that much. And there's nothing more I can do, I figure. But calm, calm, calm. Yes, indeed. I was getting on the red line there at Park Street Station when a woman of somewhat short and portly figure tripped on the door she came in, fell flat on her face. The entire train car just stood there and stared for I don't know how long, an eternity it seemed, maybe 1, 2 seconds, at the end of which there were 3 men down on the floor helping her up. 1 black, 1 white, 1 Latino. They spent the rest of the trip talking to her. I thought that was great. And now, an actual poem. You know how much fun I have with my sweet little darlings every week. Oh, I am so lucky I get to teach high school. I love teaching. I love kids. Life is beautiful. I am part of building the future. These kids' lives are better off because I'm in it, doing cool stuff with them. And yeah. And do my kids, are they obedient, kind, and respectful of their teacher? Of course not. It doesn't work, Mr. Lewis. 9 to the power 9 shouldn't be 0, he exclaims. I concur, scream I. Java's broken, he replies. Says who, says I. Says I, he says, with the confidence that only a 10-year-old can muster. Show, I insist. See this, he hiss. 9 upper 9 gives 0. Not so in Python. Pinge, I cry. Java is not Python. Speak to me of the Zen nature of up arrows. Well, in Python is a mind constrictor. Pray to him and be consumed. What in its purest form is an up arrow when it is unconstricted? Speak, grasshopper. Oh, master, then it would only be a glyph with no meaning associated with whatsoever, mere dots of ink upon a page of paper. Yes, grasshopper. But master, if 9 upper 9 is 0 and 9 upper 0 is 9, this is madness indeed. You have too many eyes, grasshopper. Look with just 2 eyes. Consider this in 9 in binary. What do you see? Do you see? Do you see? XOR? Yes, grasshopper. It is bitwise XOR. Who needs more than this? Oh, master, truly Java is the language of the gods. Yes, grasshopper, semicolon. Farewell, cruel python! Exclamation point. Print line system.exit.
Stage left, run. Okay, let us thank Mr. Bill Lewis, and what do we have next? Ah, yes, let us do. Oh, we lost our musical interlude with Ethan Mackler. Hopefully, he'll be back. For now, let's go to Mr. Jon Wesick.
Thank you. Gee, I remember using two asterisks to raise something to a power. I can't remember what language that was in. Okay, here's a new story called Cape Lobo, and maybe we'll serialize this. What are these? Brandy held up the plastic bag of orange tablets. Advance payment for your services. Congressman Earl Saltcedar rested his beefy hand on her fishnet stockings as he steered his Dodge Challenger out of the parking garage and onto 14th Street. He dropped acid on entering the Gentlemen's Club. Halfway through Brandy's lap dance, the voice of Zatar, the Sandwich, replaced Van Halen on the speaker. She's the one, Earl Saltcedar. She's the one with whom you'll father a race of heroes who will slay the reptile overlords. Brandy refused his advances until he promised her a tour of the Rayburn House office building. What better place was there to conceive heroic sons than on the desk once used by Newt Gingrich? He'd give them fitting names like Legal Pad, Stapler, and Blotter. When Saltcedar passed a Chinese restaurant, a stooped waitress glared at him through its plate glass window. It was weird. Her complexion seemed somehow green. Eddie Money was singing about having two chickens to paralyze on the radio. Saltcedar glanced at Brandy. One of her braids had turned into a tentacle that writhed with the song. He removed his hand from her knee. He was sure messed up, too messed up to get out of the car. Yeah, he'd be safe as long as he stayed in the car. All he had to do was keep it together until he got to the office building. When did elephant grass start growing out of the cracks in the sidewalks? And when did the city fathers replace box elders with giant ferns? He stared between the legs of a brontosaurus in an ostrich feather jacket who winked at him. Saltcedar glanced in the rear-view mirror and saw a giant escargot powered by an 8.4-liter V10 engine hot on his trail. Of course the lizard people wouldn't give up so easily. Struggling with feet that had grown webs like a cartoon penguin's, he downshifted into third, pushed the gas pedal to the floor, and turned left at a 3-story piggy bank. Saltcedar shifted into overdrive on the straightaway and glanced at the speedometer. But all he saw was the queen from Sleeping Beauty, asking who was the fairest of them all. He looked up in time to see a leprechaun leading a dozen baby dodo birds across the street. Saltcedar swerved and plowed into an Amanita muscaria the size of a fire hydrant. The airbag exploded like a pie to the face in a Three Stooges episode. Once it deflated, a pterodactyl in a police uniform tapped on his window. We'll pick it up in the second half.
He's crazy! He called the health medical professional. This man is insane. Help!
My God. A pterodon in a police uniform, yes. And he's gonna call back up from the Triceratops. Anyway, let us. It was right there. Anyway, let us go to. Let's go now to a person who will close off the first half of the first of the two round robins. Let's go to oddball columnist Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have this poem here called Requiem. And are there embroiled remnants flying like tattered flags past the backstage doors, flapping like worn rags around streetlight poles, or skittering down blind alleys and then ballooning over manhole covers, steam coming up blousy in the blackness from the subway and sewers, and blanketed by the city like stars in the bright, light polluted urban night? No, they are finally and complete, way above it all, right there, looking down instead of up for once, and for real, always seeing us the way we saw them, and confused perhaps again by the verification of another and another, the lost mother and the abandoning father, the missed sisters, and then the wild brothers, step, and otherwise, and who has not keen for them? And where was the wake? And who studied the cause of death? And was an autopsy an option? And what the tombstone? And why the mass grave? And how the cremation before the family plot was found? So how can we say gone when you were always gone and have not left? Perhaps cannot leave. Oh, cannot leave, but wrap yourselves, themselves, greater selves, band-aids on the poxes of city life that blow in the fabulous harbor and settle on the high grounds and humps like the early fall of leaves in the nest of our ancient circling blue hills. And here's a little song for you in Dutch called the Himmel, which is the heaven. Toen ik klein was de hemel ergens boven in de lucht. En je kan er enkel komen met een allerlaatste zoet. Iedereen droog witte laken en je liep langs golden straten over pleinen met fonteinen vol met rode lemonade. En je vloog door witte wolken en een engel hield je vast. En je kan op water lopen, want het water was van glas. Iedereen was daar gelukkig, nooit meer honger, nooit meer pijn. Had je hier alleen ellende, daar zou alles anders zijn. Maar het weet niet meer waar de hemel is. Ik weet niet waar ik heen ga na dit leven. Toen zag ik de hemel met de ogen van een kind. Maar die hemel is voorgoed verdwenen. De hemel is verdwenen. Ik werd ouder geloofde en een andere fantasie. En het volgde Zarathustra met een soort van anarchie. Want het vloog over de wolken naar een land hier ver vandaan. Maar zon geen golden poorten en het zon geen fonteinen staan. En het weet niet meer waar de hemel is. Ik weet niet waar het ingaat na dit leven. Soms zie het de hemel in de ogen van een vrouw, maar dat duurt meestal maar even. De hemel duurt maar even. De hemel duurt maar even. Thank you.
Thank you, James. We lost one of our participants. Richard is doing the poetic equivalent of clubbing and going to another open mic. It's like surveying the clubs on Lansdowne Street back in the 90s. Well, that's my metaphor anyway. Okay, I went to one club and went home, but hey, anyway, let's go now back to the beginning and bring up Mr. Mark States to start our second and final round. Mark, you are up.
Oh, thank you so very much, Chad. Have another prompt poem. This one is called The Movies. They asked me to write a poem about the movies. So I wrote two. They were movie length. Damn those time limits. I should have aimed for movie width instead. I love movies. And when I especially dig one, I watch it a dozen times. At one point, I could perform Jim Carrey's Battle of the Blue Pen from the movie Liar Liar word for word, and facial expression for facial expression too. Accurate enough to give Mr. Carrey a run for his money. And considering he has way more money than me, I'm running after his money also. I am one of those people who quote movie lines and scenes in ordinary conversation. Have a couple friends when they're stressed out. I wave my arms up and down while saying, chill, like Pauly Shore and son-in-law. They get toothy grins and feel much better. Movie lines can be so bonding, so healing, but not always. The Yahoo News comments section can be a horror movie or a comedy. Some guy is clowning another for stating as fact a piece of information not in the flimsy clickbait article. I had read that piece of information in a more substantial article elsewhere. And I respond with reference from The Negotiator, starring Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey, the latter now persona non grata for off-camera crimes. Mr. Yahoo troll, I type. You might do well to follow the philosophy of the character in The Negotiator, who reads not just one source. He reads them all, then comes to his own conclusion. His response, calling me a pathetic loser for relying upon movies for life lessons. I wonder aloud if the only movies Mr. Troll watches in his basement are porno flicks. No meaningful life lessons there. He does not respond. I think his hands are full or tied. But as we all know from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, revenge is a dish best served cold. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Christiana, would you be interested in sharing another conversation with another robot, or maybe the same robot with a different prompt? There we go. Let me help you unmute.
I would like to read a status I wrote on social media that then I only need, that I also read at Timothy Gager's poetry reading, but I want to read it again. And if it goes too long, just interrupt me and I won't finish it. Okay? Here it is. Let me see. Don't you think I would be really cool if I started wearing a long black wig and wearing long flowy white peasant dresses and making my whole life all about singing covers of Evanescence? How can you see into my eyes like open doors? I don't think it would be cool, but it would be fucking hilarious, especially if I made it look like I was serious and people thought I was really fucking serious. Imagine if you had a weird OCD that you could just not stop yourself from being a huge embarrassment to yourself. I think I maybe do have that. I'm just not embarrassed. It's like you're not hurting anyone or anything. You just go through these totally normal, just being you, just casualing phases that last for a week at a time, starting with peasant dresses and nonstop covers of Evanescence. I mean, come on. You've got a portable rechargeable karaoke microphone with a built-in speaker on it. You can do it. And the next week, you're like trying to be Gallagher, and you just can't bear to stop yourself from wearing suspenders and buying the ever-living shit out of watermelons, just so you can smash the shit out of them. I mean, it doesn't always have to be about not all that popular celebrities. You could just insist upon when not eating and showering and doing all the other necessary shit, just like pretending you're a chair. All you do is stay chair-shaped for like a whole week and whatever hours you have free to be a chair. But you like put a sign on that says, do not fucking sit here. Just because I look like a fucking chair doesn't mean that I am your fucking chair. And you could wear like full corduroy suit about it or leather, whatever you want, whatever kind of furniture you're going for. I was thinking a wooden chair. I'm just not sure how I'd do it because I still want to look like me while I'm doing it. So maybe I could just print some stretchy fabric with a photograph of wood grain on it and then just like make with the position of looking like I think I'm a wooden chair. And then next week, you could just stand still in front of the bathroom mirror with your hand on your toothbrush as if you're about to brush, but you never do for like an hour a day. Imagine if that was how your OCD worked. And you never know how long a phase or behavior will last. It's just done when it feels like it's ready to be done with. That's kind of what I think true freedom is. Just doing whatever you feel need be done for however long you feel need to do whatever you think and feel need be done. For instance, I hate Smarties. One of the worst Halloween candies to receive, ever. Right up there with candy corn and Necco wafers. I had a refined taste as a child. If I was going to eat cheap sugar, it couldn't be that obvious about it, unless it was a lollipop. At least make the process of eating it be something grand, if all you're going to do is hand me a biscuit of compressed powdered sugar. Smarties and Necco wafers, fuck those. They always end up together at the bottom of the pillowcase or bucket you use to collect the Halloween candy with. And even though you don't like them, you eat them anyway. The most uniquely flavorful of all the Smartie Necco experience is the trying to be black licorice purple Necco disc. And it does taste like black licorice. If black licorice were a mini sugar crisp disc about the size of those not even trying to taste like anything but rice melt wafers they swear at church or Jesus. And you're like, why the fuck, after everything they put him through, do these people swear by cannibalization? I think these people are kind of rude. And if we're going to eat him every time he comes again, at least put some fucking seasoning on him and maybe at least make him a little more crisp, you know? Put some snap to bite in the man, at least a Triscuit's worth. For fuck's sake, he was that dude everyone freaks about. He was Jesus. I don't want him melting in my mouth like a little bitch on one lick. Make him thick and crispy. And at least consider putting salt on him if you really want me to come to a place that feels like altar boy tears live here. Perpetually smells like Macy's and mothballs. And before I get a snack, I don't even get it all because I'm too young to drink his blood. And what the fuck is that about? I just did a whole terribly choreographed dance with the entire neighborhood of people I don't know and probably don't want to know. They're all the same exact shade of pale, and the skin seems creepily soft, almost buttery, but somehow wilted flower petal-like. The ones who wear lipstick for some reason, it looks so dry on, as if it's been in the tube since it belonged to their mother before she died. The lips look like they're dustily red chalk outlined, and their teeth are kind of long, thin, and crowded like that guy on Poltergeist, who was also religious, remember? When he said God is in the holy temple, all creepy. Like for some reason, after Carol Ann was just not really having it with all the other shit that came with his essence being near her. So how is it that teeth just like his seemed very much like a trait that among these Jesus cannibalizers is shared? And I do see them every week giving no fucks about cannibalizing their supposedly favorite already went through what I thought was plenty enough torture guy. So it's just like, give the guy a fucking break. You really gotta go now after all he's been through and cannibalize and bleed him dry because that's how you think it's gotta be if you want to be approved by the guy? Just thinking back on my childhood thoughts about church, everybody, go ahead and keep on putting the money in the creaky wicker basket with the long ass handle that had that many years of cannibalism and altar boys tears to think about getting that long. I try not to kink shame, so I don't want to yuck your yum or anything. I'm just saying, all that shit gave my whole life way less than comfort and way more of a fright. Plus, the part when the priest molested my mom and later by another abuser it was sexual assault she got impregnated by. And even though she wanted to keep the baby because she's a saint, they slut-shamed her and sent her off to the convent to rip the baby from her horrified to lose her baby body. They ripped the baby from her arms immediately, despite how saintly she chose to keep the baby after assault. And they put it up for adoption just like she was, while her mother actually mean-girled her the whole time with those red chalk lip outlines. Just because she was jealous my mother could birth her own babies unlike her. Imagine being jealous of a kid who was fiddled by a priest and then sexually assaulted, and you're her adoptive mother who's supposed to live, laugh, love, and care even more about being a mom to her because you specifically chose to be. All right, So I don't know, but it just seemed like if I were Jesus judging, I might be just a little like, man, can I get me some real friends to chill with in heaven? Because fuck these guys. On top of it all, they don't even sing right. They sing like the instruments have been launched up their asses since I gave them light. And if I'm going to chill with these people in heaven all the time, at least the music's got to be right. At least after all the cannibalism of me and torture of their own children and actually trying to be eager expectation for utopia when they die. And this is all I've got to choose to keep me company in heaven for real. Can it at least be enjoyable on my ears, or I don't see a great reason for dying and then coming back a fucking again every time you expect me to summon to hear you expect to summon that you swear I should, all right? Like, at least make it enjoyable and worthwhile. But also, I'm confused because if you wanted a zombie, that's not even my job. I thought we weren't supposed to be into necromancy. According to the books you all supposedly got all this horrendous shit from, right? So at least they put the cushion on the kneel bar. I mean, it kind of does the job. But still, due to all surrounding circumstances, makes that cushion way less cozy on the knees in a place like that. A cushion like that harkens more of a cushion that might exist in a bad hospital scene. But I guess I'm glad some cushion's there if we're all gonna get on them. And I just don't feel like the kind of place is wise to be on your knees. Anyway, once you've reached the moment where all that's left is fucking Smarties and Necco wafers, is the moment when you start getting a little bummed despite the sugar rush, because the party is definitely over. All over. No more having no reason to eat candy, but for doing a good job wearing shit you wish you could just wear all year and don't know why all the dumb adults just won't let you do it some more. But yeah, what if I just put myself through it? I could just get a whole bag of them and make a point to eat each Smartie really, really slowly. And by kind of like shaving them into dust in little bits with my front teeth until each Smartie has been eaten. But how would you unwrap the contents? Would you untwist? Would you scissor a pack in half and stand each half in something that could uprightly hold each half perpendicular and lightly wet the tip of your index finger just to extract the top Smartie by sticking it to your finger? And of course, you couldn't just do that to the next Smartie because it would be recessed deeper into the half of the package. So you'd have to snip off the excess cellophane just to do the same again. I don't know if I was like that, who I could live with. I could probably live with me. I mean, I'm sure I could deal with it. Probably the character Benny from Benny and June's, about all I could get away with enjoyably living with. I don't know about all the whole masochistic alcoholic Johnny likes it when masochistically insecure women pine away for him more than he likes himself or being with those women, so he deliberately makes himself drunk and scarce about it all and everything, but I wouldn't mind at all meeting a guy like the character he played in Benny and June to dance some bread rolls and make some iron grilled cheeses with. That would be enough, all right. Not looking for much more in life than a chill and good enough to feel safe and nice time. Too bad too many people out here just don't know what that really means, looks, and feels like. And even when on the surface it seems like they do know how, it's not always true. So it's sad. It seems like pulling them requires a lot of exorcismic like energetics involved to pull them poltergeist teeth. Just to find people who do really know what a good time is and really are open to and really do want to have an actually good sans all the bullshitly mutually abusive obstacle courses time on this precious thing we called life, that I'm convinced I only have one of. So too bad all these surrounding issues, all these people like those I mentioned are going hardcore about making that seem hard as fuck to come by. I really do want to live my best possible life, but this place makes living your life feel like it's got to be left on hold in limbo due to all surrounding circumstances of having to stay alert and prepared not to be killed too early due to everybody under the sun's complacence to top prioritizations of the thought to be apparently very important, I call bullshit on that, needs, wants, and demands of pretty much on-earth living poltergeists. I just found out the actor who played this role in God is in the Holy Temple on Poltergeist had stomach cancer while he played the role. The people at church I was talking about didn't have cancer, at least not that kind. More like a metaphorical version of cancer that seemed less like a cancer and more like a viral contagion. Kind of like the both metaphorical and literal viral contagion that everyone seems totally submitted and committed to spreading around now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christiana. It's certainly when you got into cannibalism, your mind there's an Eddie, there's a joke where he talks about where Jesus goes back down. He's like, you goes back to talk to his father. You bastard, they were worse than the dinosaurs. And talked about, I said, take this wine. It's my blood. And God's like, that's vampirism. What else did you say? Nothing. You didn't say anything else? No. Nothing about bread? Yes. I said, take this bread. It's my favorite. No, I said it's my body. That's cannibalism. Well, what would you have done, Dad? I would have done cheese and wine. It just goes on and on. Take this cheese, it's melting, so it's my central nervous system. Take these chickens' legs, there are my drumsticks, there are my legs. Take these oysters, there are my kneecaps. You should check it out. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's on
great.
YouTube somewhere.
Cool. Thank you.
And yes, Kane from Poltergeist is my thing. I sing that every time I put on my big black hat. Anyway, let us move to next on the open mic on the round robin, Mr. Robert Fleming.
Thank you, Chad. So I will continue and show three more images from my recent publication. This was a photograph I took, I think it was in June or July this year. And then I used a background remover and just extracted the tree trunks, and then I converted them to purple. So this was the final image. And then on the left is the original image, and on the right side is the edited image. This was also over the summer where there were rainbows over the houses. And what I did was I extracted the rainbow and part of the clouds using cropping. And I also was starting with this image also. I was very interested in the clouds. And here I am extracting just the clouds from the last picture. And then this is the final image. And this is the last one I'll share today. I was very interested in the shape of the semicircle above the houses. And I extracted that. And the middle one is removing the background from the top image. And then the bottom one is just changing the color of it. Here I'm also back to the sky with the clouds, and I had extracted the clouds. And then I applied background remover and came up with this smaller cloud. Then I put the three images together. So the top and the bottom are from the sky, they were the rainbow, and the middle is the cloud turned to green. So on the left side are the two original images, and on the right side is the new images extracted from the original images and modified with Canva graphic arts features. Thank you for letting me share my three additional photograph manipulations. And I'll put the link to the Blaze Box publication in the.
Cool, thanks. Do that. Thank you so much, Robert. Who do we have next? But Miss Jan Rowe. There you go. There you go.
Thank you. This is a temporary title. I just did it tonight because it's too long. At least I didn't run the Honda 60 into the hedge like Dad did. I had to jump off my brother's Honda 60 as Brown Street was coming up past Jackie's supposed brothel around the creek. As Brown Street in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, Southwest, dying, abandoned town, ascends to join Cemetery Road, now completely closed. Not even travel at your own risk, as in Braesdale, where rocks are all over the road. So, over the decades since I walked it in the 1960s until car licensures, even then I had the sensation the houses were falling over the hill on one side of the road and being encroached upon the hill on the other side until only Popeye's house was left. The only house on Cemetery Road. Popeye, the tall, upright, black elder of Cemetery Road. I have several ancestors in that cemetery the road used to lead to. Now I have to go in a different way. There is another way. I got maternal grandparents, great grandparents, great uncles are there. Our ashes might go there, although nobody tends it because Brownsville is an abandoned town, which I'm having a hard time accepting. Likewise, the other cemetery where the other side's buried, there's no tenders left. So, oh God, I'm not finished with that either. Thank you.
To be continued next round robin next time. Same round robin time, same round robin channel. Thank you all for your lovely work tonight to help me get out of hell. Let's go next to Mr. Generalissimo Brian Franco.
Gracias. I will do two more short pieces for the food thing. After a relatively, hold on, did I want to, yeah, I think, hold on, let's see, did I want to do that or did I? First, I'm going to do, did I do this? Oh, no, I didn't. This is called egg. When I cracked your shell to make my breakfast, was I committing murder? When do eggs cease being viable chickens? When I sprayed the pan with olive oil, then sprinkle nutritional yeast and white pepper onto the area of the pan your insides would fall onto. Then you sizzled as you hit the center of the hot surface. Then I broke the yolk almost immediately with the corner of the spatula I would flip you with. Then lowered you on to a sesame bagel with melted provolone, toasting away open-faced in the toaster oven, awaiting this former chick-to-be to be placed atop the melty cheese, then topped it off with fresh baby spinach and raw onion against the top half, which has melted Munster cheese on its underside. Then I held the package tightly like a vice grip with my hand to compress everything inside in order to placate my taste buds and provide nutritional sustenance, which will be accompanied by hot Earl Grey tea or ice cold apple cider between bites in order to get my day started with healthy food. I never thought about the 11 remaining chicks to be sitting in the cardboard egg carton in my fridge awaiting their fate. And this is after a relatively productive trip to the farmer's market. Sitting on a bench on a balmy, breezy day, I wiped sweat from my forehead with a paper towel I got from one of the vendors at the farmer's market. I bought fresh dill and curly parsley. I'll mix with paper thin sliced mini cukes, mini zooks, and radishes into creamy goat cheese for an incredible bagel spread peppered with a dash of white pepper, lime zest, and finely chopped pickled sushi ginger. I bought kohlrabi with thick leaves rising from its base that mimic collards. I think I'll make a slaw with the kohlrabi leaves and stems with thinly sliced red onion and multicolored carrots, dressed with my signature coconut cream, whole grain mustard, and tamarind dressing, which also makes for a terrific sando spread. I'll cut the kohlrabi in wedges, spray the cut edges with Chinese black vinegar, and sprinkle on a mix of nutritional yeast, hemp hearts, ground coriander, seeded cardamom, and allspice, then bake them till the top edge is charred. I'll toast a sesame bagel, spread some veggie herb spread on both sides, then top one with an overhard egg and the other with a blackened portobello I roasted last night, which is in a Tupperware in the fridge, impatiently waiting to be eaten. All that and a small side of roasted kohlrabi and slaw make for a yummy, healthy brunch. When a person skips breakfast, the first meal of the day is always brunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Generalissimo. And now we circle back to Marianne Honecker.
Okay, I got two more. This one is called Missing. I'm empty of myself. I'm empty as a sieve. If you poured more of myself into myself, my selfness would simply leak out. Hours have no substance. No matter how many I sit through, I do not develop a self again. I try sleeping, wake still hollow. Minutes have no names. Sunlight unfolds and folds back into itself. Night huffs like a Clydesdale. I own neither. I fall into oblivion, and the day is sweet as honey. My thoughts are missing. I put up missing posters, all for a reward. No one explains to me how to entice my mind back into my cracked body. The daylight bursts shadows, but no shadow of myself. Myself has become transparent, like a well-cleaned window birds break their necks against. I have no birds flying through my brain bearing messages. My homing pigeons forgot home. In the earthquake of illness, I open like a fault line. Strange creatures scatter out. They do not return to me. There's nothing behind my eyes, nothing moving into those doors, nothing shining out. Crabapple tree. Chiaroscuro, knobbiness, 7 trunks branch out from the main. Like a holy candelabra. A curving branch wears night below and day above, much like all of us. We must have secrets even from ourselves. The last dark crimson leaves fall to wobble in the windswept grass like an uncertain small animal. In spring, its blossoms will be mauve. In summer, leaves green with gloaming, falling over them all day. Leaves that cannot be pierced by light's buoyant giddiness. The tree is old and past all that now. My dear, you stare at it for hours. Blue jays and pileated woodpeckers hide and dine and shine, their feathers glinting like mirrors when they turn their wings against us and toward the sky. And that's all. Thanks. Had some cat interruptions. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Those darn small creatures. Thank you so much, Mary. And Richard Spisak is club hopping, so he's unable to join us for this round. But we did get back Edward S. Galt, Mr. Gentleman Galt, if you are ready.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just want folks to know that I did publish one of my photos in Oddball magazine next to a photo from Mr. Emil Reuter. So I actually posted that photo in the comments, so you get to see it. Kind of in the tradition of Joseph Sudak, the Czech photographer known as the Poet of Prague. Okay, just wanted to read a couple here, somewhat humorous ones. It'll be a nice change from the last one I read. This one's called Games with Grandpa. I don't know when his wife died. I was always told it was long before I was born. He always seemed so ancient, his skin lined with the years he had lived. Brown spots mottled his scalp and blended into what hair he had left. The important thing was not to be lured into thinking he was senile. That would have been a grave mistake. For example, in chess, he would take your queen and then your king before you knew they were gone. Game over. Then he was a checker shark. He had ways of jumping all over our piece in one move. In dominoes, we didn't stand a chance. The man had a century on us all, even after all the cigars. That must have been his secret, the cigars. And now this one is called, this is a shorter one, it's called The Man on TV. It was before we got our color TV, so the image as I remember it was in black and white. The man on the TV was explaining that when we died and went to heaven, we would not be lounging around being fanned off by servants standing with long handled plumes. The Lord would have us all working, he said. I reached over to the knob, switched off the set, and went into the next room to beg my mother for a color TV. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Galt. And up next, is he still here? Yes, he is. I didn't recognize you for the lack of jack-o'-lanterns in the background. Let's welcome up Bill Lewis.
Thank you, Chadford. And most welcome and glorious friends that I share this time with. Several years ago, King's Chapel there in the middle of Boston invited some of us performers to come and be spooky and scary and read stories that were disconcerting. So I did my best. For $100, yes, I can do an 8-minute story on stage. I just have to get depressed. I need to be really weird, bring my power down, and turn into that person. The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best I could. But when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. It must be understood that neither by word nor by deed had I given Fortunato cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face, and he did not perceive that my smile now was at the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato. Although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared, he prided himself on his connoisseurship of wine. Few Italians now have the true virtuoso spirit. I was skillful in the Italian vintages myself, and brought largely whenever I could. It was about dusk one evening, during the supreme madness of the carnival season, that I encountered my friend. He accosted me with excessive warmth, for he had been drinking much. The man was motley. He had a tight-fitting party-striped dress, and his head was surrounded by the conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should never have done wringing his hand. I said to him, my dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today, but I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado. I have my doubts. How, said he, Amontillado? A pipe impossible, and in the middle of carnival. I have my doubts, I replied, and I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You were not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain. Amontillado? I have my doubts. Amontillado? As you are engaged, I am on my way to Lucchesi. If anyone has a turn in it, it is he. He will tell me, Lucchesi cannot tell Amontillado from sherry. And yet, some fools will say they have it said that his taste is a match for your own. Come, let us go. Whither? To your vaults. Thus speaking, Fortunato possessed himself of my arm, putting on a mask of black silk and drawing a roquerie closely around my person. I suffered him to hurry me off to my palazzo. At this point, a fair amount of drinking goes on and some conversation, and we will hurry to the end because there's only so much time in the world here. Proceed, I said. Herein is the Amontillado. As for Lucchesi, he is an ignoramus, interrupted my friend as he stepped unsteadily forward, while I followed immediately at his heels. In an instant he had reached the extremity of the niche, and finding his progress arrested by rock, stood stupidly bewildered, drunken as he was. A moment more, and I had him feathered to the granite. In its surfaces were two giant iron staples. From one of these hung a short chain, and the other a padlock. Throwing the length around his waist, it was a short work to secure it. I stepped back from the recess. The Amontillado! Ejaculated my friend, not yet recovered from his astonishment. True, I said, the Amontillado. As I said these words, I busied myself among the piles of bones, of which I've spoken. Throwing them aside, I uncovered soon a pile of building materials and stones and mortar. With these materials and the aid of my trowel, I began vigorously to wall up the entrance of the niche. It was now midnight, and my task drawing to a close. There remained but a single stone to be fitted in place. I struggled with its weight. I partially placed it in to its designated position. But now there came from out the niche a low laugh that erected the hairs upon my head. It was succeeded by a sad voice, which I had difficulty recognizing as that of the noble Fortunato. The voice said, a very good joke indeed. Excellent joke. We shall have many a laugh about this at the palazzo. Over our wine. The Amontillado, I said. For the love of God, Montresor! Yes, I said, for the love of God. I forced the last stone into its position. I plastered it up against the masonry. I re-erected the old rampart of bones. For the half-century, no mortal has disturbed them. In pace requiescat. Edgar Allan Poe.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Wouldn't be Halloween season without you doing a little touch of something of Poe in the at the end. Let's welcome up next, second part of a serialized story, or to be serialized story in the next 5 seconds by Mr. Jon Wesick.
Okay. Cops found LSD in Miss Simpson's purse, so your story that she slipped you drugs in order to rob you checks out. Salt Cedar's uncle said. Graying hair curled over the tips of Robert Connor's ears, and his face was chubby as the belly under his sweater and sport jacket. Legally, you're in the clear, but it's another story with the voters. It'll blow over like the last time Salt Cedar reached for the bottle of Irish whiskey on Uncle Bob's desk. I'll attend a few prayer breakfasts, get my picture taken with some preacher, and sponsor a bill increasing penalties for drug use. Your polling's in the toilets. The big donors are pulling out. Uncle Bob handed Salt Cedar a document. Have you seen your re-election campaign funds? My God! Salt Cedar downed his glass of regret and poured another. What do we do? Put you someplace where we control the narrative and change the conversation. Uncle Bob paced around his office. Sounds like a plan, Salt Cedar said. In Brazil, there's a legend. Uncle Bob sat behind his desk. Rumor has it the Capelobo has the body of a man and the head of an anteater. It drinks human blood, and the only way to kill it is to shoot it in the navel. I propose that you lead an expedition up the Amazon River to find a Capelobo and destroy it. Do people actually believe this nonsense? Never underestimate the stupidity of the American voter. And we'll pick it up in Brazil next time.
Thank you, John. And I'll be reading that story link of 12 Addled Men. I remember that pretty well. Let's welcome up next to and last for the second round of the round robin, Mr. James Van Loy.
Thank you, Chad. So I have I have a haiku here by the famous Japanese poet Basho. And this is kind of one of my favorite poems, so I kind of want to share it. In Japanese, it goes, Kono mishi ya yuku hito nashi ni aki no kuri. And it's sort of most literal reading would be, this road, going person be none with autumn nightfall. And the translation is, this road, with no man traveling on it, autumn darkness falls. And let me just sing a little song for you to close it out. Oh, mother dear, the sirens, the silence are wailing from street to street and through the city side. The frontier's gone and ancient forest failing. And it is I did go, but you did bide. But I come back when summer's on the common, or when the snow halts the traffic's run. And I'll be there when peace breaks out and war is done. Oh, mother dear, oh, mother dear, I'm still your son. Thank you.
And with that, our open mic comes to a close. And I want to thank everyone for coming out. I am I'm reconfirming next week's feature, and we'll hopefully be announcing the final features for October. The feature will be next week on October 23rd. The feature's name is Sylvia Butte Gray, but you might know her as BUT. That's capital BE, capital YOU, capital T. A poet raised in the suburbs of Boston who is been around in the performance poetry scene for a long time. I've seen her perform many times at Tony B's Poets in the Garden and elsewhere, and she's also was participant recently with the memorials to the late Glenn Lucci Furman. So I'm hoping to bring a little bit of that to next week's feature. So thank you all very much, and more features are going to be announced for the day before after voting day and the week after voting day, and many more to come. So thank you guys all for coming tonight. And wow, we actually hit at 9 o'clock. So a big quick wave. Goodbye from hell. Hopefully, I'll be out of hell very soon, or I'll be at work by 9 o'clock tomorrow. Same thing. But have yourselves a great evening, and thank you all for your presence. And more announcements for Stone Soup. Hopefully, the new live shows are going to be coming very soon. So thank you guys very much, and have yourselves a great evening. Great work, everyone. Show's over. See you next time.